Ravi Subramanian, one of our dynamic senior authors from the Right India panel. Ravi, I want to start off talking to you about Right India. And since we were there right from the beginning when we were talking about Right India, what should we do with the authors, with the writers and all, since then to now, today the culmination of season one, we've come a long way. Uh, what do you think we've gained in this entire year? What have your learnings been? I know mine.
Vinita, it's been roughly about slightly more than a year that we embarked on this journey, and when we started off, I was slightly worried, uh, worried that you may not get the stories, people may not write. Writing uh, to a prompt is always very difficult, but the first number of stories we got for Amish surprised us.
Yes.
And then standing here today, 12 months later, with 25,000 stories and a huge number of writers, tells me that the number of publishers in this country is not enough to publish all these guys. We need more publishers. We need a better publishing infrastructure and a distribution infrastructure. Writers are there, readers are there, but who's going to publish them? And you've brought all these guys to the forefront by giving them an opportunity to get published in the Right India book. And I think, for me, uh, while the excitement was one side of being involved in a project like this was is on one side, the smile on these people's faces, okay, the smile on the face of the authors who have written these short stories, the excitement in their voices when they stood up there on stage and spoke as they received their awards, and the glee and the glitter in their eyes when the book got launched, okay, I think that's unparalleled. To
Yes.
me, that takes the cake. It's like the best moment in our publishing history thus far has been seeing the smile on the faces of these 30 authors who made it to this particular
Yes, that
book.
was awesome, wasn't it? And it had to do with nine of you, the country's top commercial, best writing authors, best selling authors, sitting on stage for them actually to encourage them, to congratulate them, and to award them for what they had done. I think that's what brought the glitter in their eyes, the stars on the stage.
No, I think it was the platform which Times of India, Right India, and you gave them. I think
Absolutely, that too, yes.
that's the reason why you were able to put the smile on their faces. We were just facilitators. We, we just stepped into the picture to execute a mandate which was Times of India and yours, and that's called Right India. And I think, to me, this is a brilliant platform to bring to the forefront a lot of hidden talent in this country. You should not give up now.
Yes,
I think
absolutely not.
it's reached a particular stage, and from here on, I can only see it going higher
Yeah.
and higher and higher.
Yeah, well, all of you authors will always be an inspiration to these people who aspire to be where you were on the stage today. As an author yourself, Ravi, how do you see yourself having changed over the years? Your writing, do you see a change in your writing?
First and foremost, I wish there was a Right India when I wrote my first book, okay, because that would probably have helped me hone my skills a lot better. Um but as far as my writing skills are concerned, yes. See, writing also is a craft, right? It's like a workman works day and night. 3 years down the line, he's a better craftsman than
Yeah.
what he was when he started off. Similar things happen to you writing as well. So when I started off in 2007 with my first book, If God Was a Banker, and when I go back and look at my latest book, the bestseller she wrote, the writing style is very, very different.
Definitely.
As in, it's evolved. The language
Yeah.
has evolved. The vocabulary has evolved. The storytelling has
And
evolved. To
how
me,
does that happen?
that's
Is it because of the feedback you get, or you yourself have been reading other
is
books and your books and then, you know,
see, reading,
evolving?
one has been reading all through. So it's not that reading caused the change. What's caused that change is one. Is your experience of writing, because one is never written. Book is 100,000 words. 8 books is 800,000 words. An experience when you've written zero versus writing when you've written 800,000 words is very, very different. So you grow as an author and write better than what you wrote earlier. But yes, the point you make is very, very valid. A, a huge impact on your writing style has been the reader feedback.
Yes.
A reader comes back and tells you, look, you made a mistake here, you made a mistake here, you made a mistake here. This could have been written better. These are the things you need to avoid in your writing. And to me, as an author, keep your ears on the ground. You will sense clear feedback messages from readers. You will sense things where you're going wrong, and then correct them. And the moment you correct them, I think everything will fall in
Yeah,
place.
yeah, but it's so important to keep your ears open only to the right feedback. I'm not saying the positive feedback, positive and negative, both can be right feedback.
I,
Because
th-
otherwise, there's a lot of pulling down and all happening on, especially on social media platforms.
I think, Vinita, all negative feedback is important. So you
Yes.
need to keep your ears open for all negative
Yeah.
feedback. You may choose to act on some, you may choose not to
Yeah.
act on
Yeah.
some. You can't
So you
please
have to take an
everyone,
intelligent
right?
call.
So
Yeah.
if you see a trend in feedback pattern, a pattern in the feedback, which is not what you intended to achieve, then you need to take action. There may be some points where the readers will come back and tell you, look, this doesn't work. But you intentionally put it there because it worked for some.
Yes.
Okay, then you can ignore that. But otherwise, if you see a trend in the feedback pattern, if you don't change the way you write or don't change your style or your approach, I think you're kidding yourself.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's a big secret that you've shared with us for the continued success of an author to be able to change yourself as you go along and to accept reader feedback and make it a part of your writing.
Correct.
And that's wonderful to be so flexible, and that's how you grow in any field, not just writing, in
Correct.
any field really.
See, you're putting yourself out there to be read, right?
Yeah.
So if you have to be willing to accept that feedback. You're pretty
Yeah.
much out there naked in front of people. So somebody will come back to you and say, "Wow, you
The
wrote
empress not
brilliantly."
wearing any clothes.
Somebody will come back and say that, "Look,
Yeah.
your writing was horrible." But you just temper both the sides of the feedback. Don't fly when the feedback is great. Don't get too depressed when the feedback is bad. But make
Yeah.
sure that
Yeah.
you observe
Yeah.
trends.
You are dealing with a full time job apart from writing, and then again you have been recently you changed your genre from thriller to romance. Do you see yourself shifting genres again as you go along? Do you see yourself experimenting some more?
Yeah, I would rather say it's experimenting rather than shifting genres because I personally think that if an author does not challenge himself, does not push his boundaries, there's no point writing.
Yeah.
If you just because you're successful in one genre does not mean you write book after book after book after book
Yeah, but what
in
was the
that particular
interesting part was
space.
that I can imagine an author changing the genre because suddenly the books he's been writing have not been doing so well, so he's trying something else. But in your case, that wasn't the truth. You were
Yeah,
still doing very well as a thriller writer, so it was a risk that you took, but it paid off, of course. To
you should keep doing these things to bring in some excitement in life.
yes,
And to me, the entire process of writing the bestseller she wrote, which was based in the publishing industry, was a fun process.
yeah,
And
and you were taking happy digs at people in the industry, of
no,
course.
no comments on that. But yes, I had a few real life characters.
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
people who I had put out the real names, but the people whose names I'd used there actually
Oh yes, you did.
sought their
Yes,
permission.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, but more
You
importantly,
almost
it was
started a trend with that. There are other authors doing it now.
I've kind of it was fun. I enjoyed the process. Uh, I I intend doing it again,
Yeah.
though my next book is going to be a thriller. But I would continue to experiment and write
Absolutely,
and
that's
write newer
wonderful.
things.
That's wonderful. You know, one of the things that I want to say about you is that you have been one of the most generous authors in our entire panel of Write India Season 1. Generous in the time that you've shared, generous in the wisdom you've shared, the tips you've given out, and in always being there for us. And I really thank you very much for that.
Thank you, Vinita. I didn't go out of my way. It's just that when I went to the publisher of my first book, um there were a few issues. I didn't get help or support from any other author because they weren't as accessible as the authors are today. So I felt that if this is something which I always wanted, so the day I can do it for others, or why stay back? So I think that's what prompted me to go out and talk to more youngsters, more authors, trying to tell them what they should or what they shouldn't do. And that's why I keep doing these sessions where I keep telling authors
Yes, you do.
the,
You've always
what
been
is the
there for
realistic
us. Yes.
side of,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
writing is.
yeah,
Because I wish somebody had told me that
yeah.
when I was setting out on this
Yeah.
particular path. But yeah,
And that's been very helpful to us. And thank you so much for being there with us. And you will continue to be a part of the Right India forever.
thank you very much,
Thank you.
Vinita. All the very best.